What's up, Zox fam? We're back with some more Etheria Restart. Now, we are 3 months into the progression on the main account, and I wanted to kind of overview, just kind of talking about some of the things that I've done, that I'm working on, and some of the future prospects and hopes and changes that I hope to see within the game. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into it. Now, as far as content cleared, okay, so let's actually go over to challenge here. All shell module dungeons at this point, 3 months in, I actually have been able to, which is kind of crazy when you think about this. I just never gone back and done them, but these I've always left at like 2-star. But as far as like Nico Nana Inferno, Shadow Flame Hoyan, Rengoku, I can actually do these all pretty well. I can do Shadow Flame Hoyan at about a 10 out of 10, Nico Nana 10 out of 10, and I'd say like an 8 to 9 out of 10 on Rengoku because there's still anomaly runs. And so, yeah, that's like basically what we're dealing with there. If we actually go over to our module dungeons, what we currently have right now, Terramatan, we are able to farm that consecutively, speed clear, and I'll actually show you guys my layouts for that. But Terramatan Inferno, Doki Doki Inferno, and Aurora Inferno, all consistent. And if we actually go here, now mind you, I do have videos showing me doing these with like my workup teams, my free-to-play efficient teams, but I've since sped those teams up, and like we got characters like Lilium in here. I got the Doki Doki setup. Actually, unironically, I use Nell. I know a lot of people use Lily on their Doki Doki team, but I use Nell on mine. So with the Ramoka, we got Nell in there. We got the Kazuyo. Obviously for Terramatan, I swapped Lilium in, and you know, she's a more recent unit, so that wasn't always the case. And then of course we're using Lilium as well on Aurora, so she works extremely well in there. And then we got Mia instead of Linglo for our heals here. So we got some pretty good setups actually going. And like I said, these are all for the most part one-shot comps. But 3 months in, that kind of makes sense, right? Of course, like I said, for my Nico Nana, I actually, again, using Kachi and Nell, Klaus with Lilium. So there's that. My Sharon team is the Ting, Yelly. What's her name? Why am I blanking on her name? You guys know who this is. I just can't think of her name right now. Valerian, there we go. In Fuchi, Shadow Flame, we have Klaus, Lilium, Kachi, Lily. And in Rengoku, we have Nell. We have, and now mind you, what's kind of interesting is I think these might have been my first or fastest clear. But this is Lilium, Nell, Klaus, and Kachi, which kind of unironically, I'm able to use that same team basically for Nico Nana and also Rengoku, which I would say one's the easiest and one's actually the hardest. So that's pretty cool. Innocent Echo, though, I really, for me, it's just a matter of laziness, really, right? I'm at like Messiah really going into the Jocks. I really need to finish pushing this and get to the Apate because, I mean, that's just more resources I'm just not taking advantage of. But we did clear the Messiah, you know, so it's honestly something you don't have to technically rush. But if you want more resources, it is something that you definitely want to make sure that you're doing. So yeah, I mean, it's just as simple as that, right? So that's like kind of one of the big things that I would say that, you know, I just have to kind of be mindful of. And hold on, let me actually put that on rotation so we can have that going in the background. But yeah, so that's where we basically are in terms of shell, module dungeons. Animus EXP obviously is at 25, GP outpost, completely maxed out, right? And so, yeah, that's basically what we kind of have going on there. Now, Ember Track, another thing that I just need to like not be lazy and do. We got 16 hours, so I actually have to kind of hard push this today. But yeah, we are in hard mode. We climbed this pretty well. My last rotation, I got to like floor, it was like 30 something. I just time, right? Like it's just really that. So with the allotted time, the more time you put in, the more you get out of it is really what it ends up being. And also too, that leads to like, you know, unit investment and stuff like that. Cause the more your units are invested, the more of this you can actually clear. So that's kind of a thing too. But yeah, so that's basically that, right? So as far as content goes, those are like some of the main things. Ethernet Rally, like even right now in this rotation, like it just reset like a few days ago. I'm already back at like the tail end, so I can do a vast majority of this. I have the unit diversity to actually like make this happen now. And I guess that actually gateways us into characters, right? So as far as characters built right now, I currently have, what was that, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, was that 21, 24, 25 units, level 50, 6-star. right? Each of them, as you can see, some of them, a lot of them have their own shell. Some don't have them equipped right now, but we'll go to the shells in a second. But with this, of course, we got a good chunk at 45. I would definitely say with a lot of these units, these were mainly units I was focusing to get things done in PvE. We're starting to like actually focus more on the units for PvP. So I still got to build like my Rahu, still got to build up probably Gray at some point. Nell, I just want a 6-star just to have her like with the more bulk. Kachi, I think definitely is going to be a unit I'll alternate in to do some more stuff. Definitely going to be building Rin and Mizuki, and possibly also Fangus, I would say, and maybe my Chiaki the Echo and my Sutomo because I want to test them. So there's still quite a bit of projects that I need to get done, and we still got more units coming into the game. So yeah, it's always something to work on. Skill up investment though, and I'll kind of show you guys that because I know some people are probably wondering like, yo, how many lasses have you spent at this point? None in my Doki, 5 in my Messiah, none in my Heinrich. Klaus has 5, so that's right there. Or sorry, 5. It's 4, so it's 8 so far. It's level 5 though. Right here, that's putting me at 16. What is it? 4, 8? Yeah, 16. Right, because my Lily has the skill 1 and the skill 2. Ling Lo is putting us at 20 lattices. Then we have Holden with 1 at level 5, so that's 24. Nifo Nael is at level 3, so that's 2, so that's 22 lattices. Right here, that's 4, 8, 12, so 22, 34, right? So 34 lattices for the Lilium, because she's completely 555, which was definitely one of the best investments that I've made so far on my account. Outside of one other unit we're going to talk about. Right here on the Ramoka, so we're at 34. So that puts us at 38. And then here we have 1 skill leveled, so that's 39. Then Hoyan has none. Yeli has 12. So that puts us at, Christ, my math is like gonna get to me here. So that's 41 plus 10 is 51. Is that 51? 51 lattices so far. And then from there, I think 51 lattices. Yeah, 51 perfect lattices used, okay? So 51 perfect lattices used. I think in total so far, on average, it's been about 60. So not bad, right? I think that like I'm pretty much, not too far away. Definitely 9 lattices short is a, big deal. It's probably a little bit more at the recording of this video because the week reset and then the week is about to reset again. So it might be a little bit more than that, but we'll just say somewhere around like 65, somewhere around there, right? So again, 3 months in, we've had about that many lattices at our disposal. For me, like I said, I haven't built everything to max. I only have 2 characters on my entire account within this period that I actually full send it all the way to max. But that was like kind of investment choice, taking advantage earlier of the reset. So that's just kind of one of those things that comes with the territory. Of course, SRs is a completely different ball game. I got quite a bit of those, just like, either sitting close to max or max. But I will say with the overall investment, like a lot of it really was just making like some of the proper choices based off of what I had. Because really, honestly, up until like maybe Inferno is where you really have to like have more investment in units, and the investment choices you make really does kind of help with determining how far you can actually push that. Definitely for me, one of the things I would say I wish I would have done more, and I know somebody's going to ask like, Zox, were there any like regrettable investments you made? I definitely would say like one regrettable mistake or thing I wish I would have like done better was actually building slow into fast. I think I went right into fast, and that kind of maybe slow my progression down some a little bit. I think if I would have built a little bit slower, maybe focus more on my RTA stuff a little bit more, I would have been fine. But I think for the longest, I was trying to combat the whole like Lily's the only thing that can clear stuff. So I was like working on other units. Like I built 6-starred Obero, almost maxed her out. I built RC77 early. I built Rin, the red one. Like I was building a lot of off meta, off focused, off efficient characters, right? So I can't really like be too mad because that was a personal choice I made and I knew it was going to affect my progression. So, I mean, it is what it is though. Not bad in my opinion for that amount of time, having that many units at level 50, 25, at like 6-star. Also then on top of that, having some units, some prospects also ready. And we're already basically almost at the point, if we go over to our star upgrade, basically you can craft another 3-star upgrade. So after I do my RTA runs, I'll be able to basically make another 6-star. So that'll put us at 26. So it's definitely like, if you play the content, you'll be able to get a lot done. There's probably some people that have more invested than I do. So there's kind of that. Now, as far as shells, I definitely feel like I'm a little bit behind on shells, but shells is its own thing, right? And the reason why I feel like I'm behind is because when I actually talked to a lot of you guys in the community, there were some people that I think did it in a better format, which was building up more shells and then worrying about passives after. I think I worried about trying to get more of the passives that I needed versus having more shell diversity. And the thing is, you'll really start to feel the shell or the need to have shell diversity, especially once you start trying to do RTA. You technically have more than enough training data at your disposal to really do it. If we're being honest, like there's some people that have a crazy amount of shells built. So that was a mistake on my fault, right? Or on my part. Like I said, not really pushing as many shells built versus shells being rolled for passives. Some people got really lucky, so they still have crazy amount of shells and really good shells rolled on their passives. But personally, if I was to redo anything, I think I would have actually invested more into my shells in terms of building more shells versus trying to roll the optimal passives. Maybe even like something I would advise a lot of people is actually settling for certain like shell passive rolls. So if it's gold, keep it. Like don't really try to force mythic, because mythic, I mean, you could be at one point at 4,000 reconfig chips and now you're at 0 and you still didn't even get that speed roll that you were looking for. So it is definitely something that I would definitely say you want to be a little bit more cautious with, and just honestly giving yourself more setup, more of a better setup for the long term, right? So that's my words of advice there, and what I really felt like would have helped my progression a little bit more. But even then, we were still able to get here with these pets made, right? So again, not mad at how my progression played out, but learning lesson, right? So that's that. Outside of that, even right now, I think I'm sitting on, because I said I was saving everything. So we got 6 perfect lattices. We have 11 evolution lattices, 4 of the micro lattices. So yeah, that's basically what we got going on. Now, as far as PvP, we have dived a little bit deeper into that. I did actually do a video kind of talking about my Fearless Arena run. So you guys either can check that out. That might already be up, or it should be coming. So wait for that. But Arena loadouts, we now have that. So as far as units that I'm actually using predominantly in Arena, Doki, I'm using Heinrich, Klaus, I'm using Lily quite a bit. I'm using Linglo, Holden, Nymphanael, Lilium, Yeli, Freya, Fuchi, I'd say Sania, and that's about that. So even out of my whole roster, I'm not really using all my units in PvP. I'm using like a handful of them. And a lot of it is like, you have to build completely different for PvP, because a lot of the sets like Bloodbath, Strive, which respectively so, if you're much slower, you can definitely do a lot of content with Strive, but there's really no need for the Bloodbath nearly as much versus like in PvP, where Bloodbath is like almost damn near necessary for you to be able to really do it. So the sets have definitely changed quite a bit, right? Like in terms of like what I'm building. So Strive, Bloodbath is huge, especially if you're lacking speed. Definitely speed tuning things for your rotations. Like it's important in PvP or in PvE, but it's definitely really important in PvP. Like, cause now you're factoring in like your enemies cutting you and trying to make sure that they can't cut you. Like it's so many different factors, but it's been fun, right? So going through these characters, actually building them. Like I said, my biggest recommendation is stockpiling. I actually hoard a ton. I think in the stream that we did, I had about 26 million Etheria coin, and we went through that and kind of got our units situated for what it was worth based off of what we had. Today, with the last day going on for the 2 times, with the 4 times for the stamina dump, I'm actually farming Aurora right now, because that's where you're going to be getting a lot of those bloodbaths. So yeah, that's actually where like my focus is right now. And I'm not mad at it. I feel like we're making some pretty good progression. Now, that's basically like everything for the most part. Now, I want to kind of talk about, obviously the overall experience of this last 3 months, how I personally have felt, because I feel like a lot of people don't really tend to see my opinion about a lot of things, because I'm pretty neutral with a lot of stuff, right? I also am like really big on like, if you're enjoying something, enjoy it. If you're not, just stop playing it, right? Like that's just kind of my perspective with a lot of stuff. And also too, I'm like, I'm having fun and I'm enjoying the game as I go, and I'm also playing other games. So I think that that's also kind of the other thing. But really, for what it's worth, I feel like with the new regions, we've talked about this in previous streams. With the new regions coming, I feel like the game is going to hopefully start to clean up. I don't think I really excuse anything that's happened so far. I'm not oblivious, right? I think that there's definitely a lot of QOL things that have happened. But I also feel like there's certain things that happen within this game are to different demographics of types of players. Like somebody asked me, what would you compare, or how do you feel like? Do you feel like this game is actually kind of like structured like Raid in a way? And I actually do feel like it kind of sort of is, because they kind of play more into the metric of time put in patience versus like, here's everything, you just can do whatever you want, right? I do think that there's certain things that need to be easier to start like, leaning into, like say PvP, for example. I think like just being able to jump into that should definitely be a lot, more, a lot better. But I also can kind of get why they're just not handing out lattices the way that we want them to. But it also goes back into like other deeply like rooted issues that like most other games kind of like don't really run into, because they kind of set parameters, right? So like the biggest thing is like, which the devs have even acknowledged, like I think we got Inferno way too early. So even at this point, I think this is where we should have really been like thinking about or starting to really grind Inferno, because even 3 months in, if we had all been farming Hell 4, Hell 3, whatever it may have been, Hells, like just in general, I think we all would have had much more solidified accounts that would have actually been more prepared to tackle doing things like Inferno. I just feel like the fact that we had something accessible but then didn't really understand, nor did we have any parameters really set that was like, hey, maybe you should farm Hell 4 a little bit more. I think casual players don't really look at things through that lens. They say, well, hey, I have this accessible, I should be able to farm it, right? Whereas like when you look at any other turn-based game, a lot of the difficulties, like whether it been Epic 7 or even Summoners War, you didn't right away have, Giants B15, like, or, whatever it is now, or even with Epic 7 having Wyvern 13, like you didn't have that right away. It was Wyvern 8. Right. And so you worked your way into that. You spent time farming that. And then the game opened up over time where it was like, hey, introducing Inferno, where this drops. I also think that would have actually been a lot more fun and interactive for the PvP meta, because people wouldn't have been so far in development to where there was this separation of, if I have modules from Inferno versus if I only have modules from Hell, I can't actually compete, which is true, right? Once you get those modules from Inferno, your build, and even I would argue your character, becomes a whole completely different character. And that's in PvE and in PvP, right? So I think that that's definitely something that, it's definitely a lesson for sure. I hope that they understand that. So moving forward, we have much better QOL. They're going to have to catch us up, obviously, to get us to the point where everybody's able to really get into PvP somewhat like seamlessly. And I know with these new regions with CN, KR, JP coming, they're definitely going to have to be a little bit more mindful of that. I'm pretty sure they're going to catch them up, right? Like that's kind of the whole reason why I think the module shop and certain things have changed, right? And that's just because, again, when we're really talking about for what it's worth, a lot of people have been asking me like, Zox, do you feel like they've been waiting for those new regions to make these adjustments and changes? Yeah, I do feel like that. But is it a possibility that nothing really will change? It is possible, right? So I think like for what it's worth, if you're, and this is what I really want you guys to take from this video, if you're enjoying the game and having fun, enjoy the game. But if you're not, dude, like I said, personally for me, I'm going to have other games on the channel. So maybe there's something else you'll find that you might enjoy. But I just live by the rule of, if I'm not having fun doing something, I'm not going to put my time into it, right? Like, I think it's just as simple as that. Versus like, sitting there complaining, mauling all day, like raging. I'm just not going to do that. I personally am going to find other things or, just better ways to invest my time or spend my time. So yeah, that's just my advice as a, somewhat older individual to some people maybe, or even younger to some. But yeah, it's just really that. I personally have enjoyed playing Etheria the last 3 months. Has it been the best time ever? Like, not necessarily. Definitely like a lot of things I wish they would do better, especially events. Like one thing I really think they really have to get a handle on is better story events, man. Like I don't feel like there's any correlation or tie-in to any characters. There's no reason for me to feel like I want to pull a character other than like, okay, there's a meta that exists and I need that. You want people to actually draw themselves and put themselves in your universe. You want them to like your characters. Like, I think that that's one of the reasons why, like, we have games like Seven Knights coming back and people are hyped for that game because of how that game made you feel about your favorite character, how they implemented and how the character evolved. They had an awakened form and, the character was dead and then they incorporated it in the story. And then now they came back with this super OP form. Like, there were so many different things that like they did to tie you in. And I think that effort needs to be there for sure. For more people to actually want to actually engage, especially for those that are here for like more PvE stuff and just the story and events and getting resources and building up units and stuff like that. I think that that's something that definitely is like missing, right? Like even just the tie-ins with the PVs and stuff like that. Like you want those things to draw your community together, get everybody hype. And we need more of that. We absolutely need more of that. So I think there's definitely a lot of things that I'm hoping to see be adjusted and worked on. I'm just not super pessimistic as some other people are. And I don't want you guys to expect that. Like I said, for me, I want you guys, if you are enjoying the game, you're able to come to the streams, you're able to enjoy yourself. You don't have to worry about being stressed or having a whole bunch of anxiety because we just like upset the whole stream. Like we're not doing that. We're enjoying the game for what it's worth. And then we're moving on and playing other games if there's something else that we have that's piquing our interest. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's basically that. Like I said, the 90 days, I feel like we've made some pretty good progression. I'm interested to know, how far have you gotten? What is your account looking like? How many 6 stars you got? How much content you cleared? Where you stuck at? Etc. We are going to actually be getting into other games like Seven Knights Rebirth and, of course, Chaos Zero Nightmares. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, definitely make sure that you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on that, because I think those games are going to be extremely fun. And we're going to definitely have a blast covering those and playing them on stream. So yeah, guys, that's going to be that with this one. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.